The interview you're about to watch is with a world-renowned cardiologist whose name is Dr. Naader Bhoto. He's incredible in what he does, and he's actually bridged the gap between physical medicine and what we call spiritual medicine. Bridging the gap between the physical world and the intangible world. He has peer-reviewed articles that he's written, from physics to psychology. He's an incredible human being with extensive experience. And he's now showing the world how to be able to integrate the body with the mind, with the spirit, and the soul. The following clip is a short excerpt of a demonstration of how he does what he does by touching certain points of the body to induce psychological activations, to actually let go of certain things from within what he calls the soul, defined as energy and information, and connects that to the physical body to actually heal itself.
The body comes to help me. It comes to say, you have a problem, and if you don't know what is the problem, I will show you. Take a deep breath. Deep breath. Imagine your father in front of you, that he is a child, and you are protecting that child. You just imagine you're angry with your father and the things that you want to from him. This fear should be out. Look to this fear from the wise woman that you are now.
I encourage you all to watch the following interview with an open mind and with an open heart. This man has done incredible work and is doing incredible work. And it's my privilege and my honor to be able to not only endorse him, but support him in the work that he's doing by teaching what he does to the rest of the world. Thank you very much and enjoy it. And we are back today with a world-renowned doctor, world-renowned cardiologist, Dr. Naader Bhoto, based out of Israel. Dr. Bhoto, first and foremost, before I continue with your introduction, I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be able to meet you and speak with you today and, bring your work to the awareness of the masses.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give a brief introduction here, and we're just going to take this conversation wherever it needs to go, because there are many, many different ways that we can flow with this. So Dr. Bhoto, number one, published peer-reviewed articles in the realm of physics, connecting physics with medicine, philosophy, and spirituality. He actually developed something called the Unified Integrative Medicine Model, meaning something that integrates this holistic view of the mind, the body, the soul, all in one. Because right now, modern medicine, as we know it today, really just looks at the physical part of everything. And the physical part is a fraction of a percent of what's actually going on in not just the universe, but the human body specifically. It's more than just a physical body. So what I found fascinating over here is not just all the incredible stories that I've heard, the success stories with this incredible doctor, but in addition to that, he's also somebody that comes from the normal world, a world-renowned cardiologist, and suddenly start speaking about spirituality and understanding the integrative approach to heal once and for all. And I don't think it's a coincidence, Dr. Bhoto, that your approach is the Unified Integrative Medicine Model, and my organization is the UNIFYD World organization. So I'm sure we're here for a reason, and I look forward to hearing what you have to share today.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we start with, number one, your background. I really want to focus on the Unified Integrative Medicine Model. But before we get to that and how you integrated all of this, give us a background from your perspective. How'd you go from cardiology into this? What allowed you to see the integration of all? And how did you really get to the point that you're at today?
Actually, I started to learn medicine in Italy. And from the beginning, I asked the question, it's interesting, where is the soul of this gentleman? We worked on the cadaver, and I asked this question, and my friend said to me, there's no such a thing as a soul, This is primitive people that they don't know science, and there is a electromagnetic process or biochemical process. When it's disturbed, this is the disease. And when it's stopped, this is the death. And I wondered why all people in the world are believing in soul if they are, they had the wrong idea. So from that point, I started to search for the soul and the meaning of the soul. And I started with hypnosis. And what found out that with hypnosis, I could do things that has no explanation in medicine. So I said, wow, here we have something deeper and very meaningful that we are missing in medicine. And with the time, I could have the idea very clear that we are excellent in acute medicine. When you have some cases that are in acute infarction, or you have a infection in the lungs, or all the acute diseases, we know how to manage these diseases. However, we don't have anything to prevent the disease. And we are not dealing well with the chronic diseases. So these three parts, my work is as a cardiologist and invasive cardiology. My work is to open the artery when somebody come to the hospital with acute infarction. So I make the angiography and angioplasty to open the artery and to renew the blood flow in the heart. However, we don't know exactly why this gentleman has this disease, despite the fact that others, they have the risk factors for heart disease and they are not sick.
Yep.
And we have many people that they don't have the risk factors and they come to hospital with acute infarction. And the missing point here is the psychological aspect that we are not taking this in consideration.
100%. It's something that's always overseen. And like you said, most doctors, most scientists, they say there is no such thing as a soul. What is this nonsense? Nikola Tesla actually is famous for his quote of the moment science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, we will progress more in 1 decade than we did in the history of all existence. And I think you're a perfect example of that, because you suddenly started asking the difficult questions that most people don't have answers for and said, well, wait a second. There needs to be something here that's more than just a physical thing, that's more than just physical matter. So I'm curious, what did you see as you started asking those questions, and how did you connect the dots between the physical realm and the spiritual realm?
What I find out actually that in the medicine, we are dealing only with the biological aspect, with the chemical. This is a biomedical model. And there's no space for soul or psyche or mind, because for me, mind is not complete. It's better to say psyche, because in the psyche, we have 3 parts. We have emotion, we have mind, and we have intuition. All this in the psyche. So all these aspects are not taken in consideration in medicine. So I started to ask questions, and what I found out that the basic things we don't understand. Till now, more than 90% of the diseases, we don't know the real cause of the disease. Mm-hmm. I went to study medicine with the idea that, doctors know everything about the disease and the causes and how to deal with it. And when I am there, I found out that we don't know anything about the disease. And we are dealing with the signs only of the problem. The disease is not the real problem. The disease is only the sign that there is problem in the soul. There is problem in the psyche. There is a conflict that was not resolved. And this conflict created a state of dissonance in the system. And this dissonance created the destructive wave interference on the physical body, which appeared as a disease, a physical disease. So when I started to look for the soul, I went to the physics, because I said this is energy and information, and the discipline that deal with these 2 realms are the physics. And I started to ask question in physics: what is particle? Mm-hmm. How the energy it was converted to particles, what is mass? Why we have a lot of constants in physics? And I found out the same problem in physics as in medicine. There's no real answer for these questions. And I found myself researching and asking questions till the point that I could understand the origin of the life, the origin of this creation. And everything started from the vacuum. And the vacuum is not nothingness. The vacuum is continuum because contains the density that has no movement. And this is the reason why there's no mass. When you move the density, it becomes with mass.
Uh-huh.
It's, it's a kind of tornado. When you see tornado has very powerful energy, and it could destruct houses and trees and everything. And this force comes from the movement, the rotation of the tornado. Mm-hmm. When it's stopped, will convert to air and you don't feel it. And this is the same thing in the vacuum. When with the Big Bang, the density of the vacuum was varied from one point to the other, was different. So the vacuum started to flow from one side to the other, creating these vortices. And each vortex actually is a particle. Each electron is a vortex. Each quark is a vortex, but they have different sizes because we're created in different condition, different temperature, different pressure. And this is the reason why they have different attributes and character.
So how do you connect that knowledge to bridge the gap between, okay, we know this, now how do we apply that to healing the soul? Because you're not even going to the level of the body, you're going to the core of it all.
Yes, but if I define soul as the energy and information that gives life and movement for the physical body, nothing could function without energy. Mm-hmm. And this energy is not random. It's very intellectual energy with intelligence inside it. So we can define the soul as the energy and the information that gives life for the physical body. I want you to understand how something that is, in our imagination, something in our beliefs, something that in our thoughts can convert to something in our physical body. And this, this part is missing because we think that only by the brain we are influencing our physical body. Only with the neurons and the nervous system, we have the effects. But we have energy as well that we are not taking this in consideration when we deal with the influence of the psyche on the physical body. So if you take in consideration that the physical body has a mass, and the mass is energy, and the energy has vibration and waves, and if you have dissonance, and this dissonance was created by the psychological conflict or crisis, create dissonance, this dissonance creates destructive wave interference, one wave against the other, and it weakens the vital energy of the cells in that organ.
Interesting.
And the vitality will be dropped. When it's dropped under certain level, will appear the disease. So the disease is a combination of two things, main things. The first thing is the stress that consume energy. And the second thing is the vitality of the cell or the organ. And this is the definition actually of disease and health. First of all, I define the health as was defined by the World Health Organization, mm-hmm. that states that health is a state of complete physical, psychological, and social well-being, and not merely lack of disease. I add here physical, psychological, spiritual, and social well-being. So we take the well-being as the main thing in health. So well-being is a state of mind in which the person feels that he's able to realize his aspiration in life with sense of love, happiness, and freedom. And this is the real health. So I said, well, in medicine, we don't do this. Why? Because the World Health Organization, they defined health as a state of well-being, not lack of disease. And what we want in medicine, in modern medicine, lack of disease. If you have headache, you take this pill, you don't have headache. If you have asthma, take the inhalation and you don't have. But this is not the definition of health according to the World Health Organization. I went a step further and I defined the state of health as a state of resonance between the animal soul or the magnetic field and the physical body, where the defense system, which is the vitality, is able to cope with the external or internal stimuli in order to maintain the state of homeostasis.
So one moment, can I break that down for a second?
Sure.
Understanding as we're going. So you're saying the way that we can, or that you like defining health, which I completely agree with you, by the way, because the lack of disease is not a way to right, indicate health. You're saying coherent resonance between the animal soul, the magnetic field, and the physical body. And if you have a coherent field of energy of resonance between both, then that is what we call health and well-being. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, and you have to add the vitality as well.
And how do you measure vitality? What is your measurement of vitality?
Yeah, we have an instrument which measures the resistance between the hand and the leg. And with this, you can obtain a measurement which is called a face angle. And we have correlation between the face angle value and the state of health. And a lot of studies has been done about this and demonstrated even that there's correlation between mortality and the face angle.
Interesting.
So you can even know who is at risk to die according to the face angle. If we go a step further, we can define disease as a state of dissonance between the magnetic field and the physical body due to external or internal stimuli that is more than the capacity of the defense system to maintain the state of homeostasis.
Interesting. So you're saying health is the state of resonance between the systems.
And defense system that is not able to reestablish the homeostasis. And I defined homeostasis as a state of dynamic balance in which the system function in complete efficiency with the minimal energetic expenditure.
I understand. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of you now applying what you're speaking about to touching the physical points of the body to help, I guess, bridge the gaps between these different dimensions, if you want to call it, from the body to the spirit and the soul, and helping the human being literally release.
The body comes to help me, comes to say, you have a problem, and if you don't know what is the problem, I will show you. Now send light and love for your father. Send protection for your father. Imagine your father in front of you, that he is a child, and you are protecting that child. This is the pain that goes out. This fear should be out. Look to this fear from the wise woman that you are now.
Can you explain how you see the map of the body and how that relates to certain points that you would touch through your approach of that, unified medicine approach?
First of all, we can say that for every psychological crisis, there is a very specific address in our physical body, mathematically. So nothing is functioning, randomly or by chance.
Can you give an example of that? For example, like
for example,
something
yes.
happens to this finger versus this finger.
Yes. For example, I have a problem with this finger. In the left side, this finger here passes the meridian of the left lung. And the left lung is related to fear to be abandoned by the mother. In the right side is fear to be abandoned by father. This finger, for example, is related to the meridian of the colon. Okay, and colon is related to fear from critics. When somebody critics use this finger, I told you, why did you this? This one is related to pericardium. Okay. Pericardium is the membrane that protects the heart. When somebody has a crisis of separation from beloved one, they started to be afraid again, to love again, and this is called fear to love. And when somebody has fear to love, the pericardium will be blocked. It could appear as, for example, claustrophobia, or dyspnea, or tachycardia, or even chest pain without having any myocardium disease or any heart disease, because the pericardium is contracted. Go ahead.
So let's say I'm making a salad, right? And I'm chopping lettuce and whatever, and it just so happens to be that I slice this finger. What would your response to a situation like that be? Because most people say, you just cut your finger, it's not a big deal, but I think you would probably answer differently.
Yes, yeah. This comes to open the blocked meridian. When you have trauma on one of the fingers, this trauma comes to open. Instead to have to do acupuncture, you cut it with a knife.
And you're saying that there's some sort of divine intelligence here that knows to make that happen without you even knowing that that's going to happen?
Yes, because we have an implicate order, and our intelligence resides in our soul, and the soul has its necessity, and we will find ourselves exactly, in the accidents or events that come to serve us in order to maintain the balance.
So you're saying it's a form of natural acupuncture by nature, by divine will.
Yes, that's right.
Wow. Okay, let's go back to your points on the body. Tell us what's going on there.
Actually, when I touch one point in our physical body, it corresponds to some psychological aspect. And by doing this, the person starts to relive all the traumas that had in the past, and will express it emotionally, and we will help them to complete the learning process, because behind every psychological conflict, we have a potential of learning, of learning and growing. Okay. So when I touch this point, it touched the point in the psyche that was blocked and created a tension or contraction in that site. And by doing this, it will relive all the emotion that was, and independently if it happened 1 year ago or 40 years ago, or even during birth, or even in past life. Many people, they relive their traumas from past life, and they see themselves how they died in past life and what happened after death, where they went, and how they receive a message for their mission in this life. So they will discover actually what is their path in this life and their destiny. And this is very important point, because most of the people, they don't know why they came to in this life.
Wow. That's beautiful. So you're taking it all the way there. Now, first of all, just to be transparent here, I am 100% with you when it comes to reincarnation, when it comes to purpose, when it comes to learning from past lives and lessons you're going to bring into this life. But I'm curious, because I'm sure you get this question a lot. In your field, in the medical field, in the scientific field, there are a lot of people who say, oh no, that's just people trying to find purpose within themselves and creating an illusion, and past lives don't exist, and all of this is a bunch of nonsense. What would your response be? Because your work is literally based on this, and you're healing people based on this. What would your response be to the skeptic that comes and says, Dr. Butto, with all due respect, we think you're crazy. There's no such thing as reincarnation.
First of all, my purpose is to lead the person to a state of well-being. And this is my purpose as a healer, as a doctor, as a therapist. I want to achieve the well-being as it was stated by the World Health Organization. Mm-hmm. So if it's imagination, if it's real or not real, it's not important. Important to achieve the state of health, first of all. Secondly, many people, they don't believe in last life. During the therapy, they live the last life, even though that they don't believe on it. And this will have the impact on their physical health as well. And this is the point, the most important point. When we do this kind of work that integrate the energy with the information in the soul, the physical body will respond with the healing without giving any chemical substance.
But again, the skeptics can come and say, fine, power of thought. How are you so sure that reincarnation exists? And again, I'm with you, but I want everybody that's watching this to be able to understand your thought process. So when people come to them and say you're crazy, there's a response that can be given that's an intelligent and intellectual response.
First of all, I saw 3 of my last incarnation. And the last one, it was, I saw myself as Rabbi in Iraq. Today, I am Arab Muslim in Israel. In last life, I was Rabbi Jewish in Arabic country. And I knew the name and the place of this person. And I started to ask many people who came from Iraq if they know this rabbi. And it took me 13 years till the point that I found out this person.
Wow.
And this was, yes. And the name of this person was Chaim Yaqub, the son of Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai is a Kabbalist rabbi, very famous. And many people in this life ask me if I studied Kabbalah. I said, no, I don't have any background in Kabbalah. They told me, but what is written in this book is Kabbalah. I said, maybe, but I didn't learn Kabbalah. When I found out that actually I was a Rabbi Kabbalist, I understood where these ideas came from. And I found the book that I wrote in the last life as well.
Wow.
And you can download it freely.
What's the name of the book? Now I need to read it.
Tzitzim או פרחים.
After this call, if I can get a link, I'd love to learn more about that.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure. So I have all the time, the doubt about if it's true or not true. And I continued to go to rabbis to ask these questions till the point that I met a rabbi. I asked the question, and he told me that this rabbi is the son of Ben Ish Chai. Once I knew his father is very famous, it was easy to arrive to the books that has been written in last life.
That's so amazing. I have another question with that. How did you remember that by trying, or did it come to you spontaneously?
No, I did a special kind of meditation where I just imagine a screen And I went back with the years till the point that in my imagination, I started to see things, in my imagination. Many people, they don't consider this because say, yeah, this is my imagination. Our imagination is the reality of our soul.
That's beautiful.
Most of the reality is there. Only 4% of our reality is in the physical body. 96% of our reality is not the physical body. 23% in our psyche and 73% or 72% in our soul.
And soul you define as energy and information.
That's right. The animal soul is the magnetic field, which is always related to the physical body. The human soul, which joined to us in the moment of birth, is a quantum state, a state of information, not energy, which came from the positive pole of the quantum potential. The quantum potential has two poles, positive and negative. The positive pole is the angelic world in the spiritual world. And the negative pole in the quantum potential is the hell, actually. So we have representative from each part. We have the human soul from the angelic world, and we have guiding spirit from the genie world. And the genie world, something that is not accepted in Western cultures, even in Christianity or Judaism, it's not accepted. It's not open. Even in, the Jewish religion, even doesn't permit you to say the name of the genie shed. It's forbidden to say it because it attracts to you. But in the Islam is something very open. And in the Quran, there is chapter about the genie word, a complete chapter that speak about the genie word. So it's open. And I understood why in this life I choose to born in as a Muslim.
Okay, I'm listening.
Exactly for this reason, to enter in the genie world, to understand better, and to write about this. And what I found out, the Chinese, Indians, Hindus, all these cultures are speaking very widely about this world that is completely neglected in the Western and in the Christianity world,
So I have a big question for you here. You have this unified perspective across everything. It's not just medicine. It's really the way you live, your memories, the way that you do things. What is your perspective on religion in the world today? How do you see it, the future of religion? Because right now religion is a very big cause of war, in the way that people perceive it, division, things like that. What is your perspective on that?
Actually, the religion is a tool, it's instrument that intended to help us to go a step further forward the light, the divine light. But in the religion, we have two aspects. We have the morality and we have the spirituality. Most of the people, they take the morality as a purpose, and they forgot what the religion first place was intended to be. It's intended to be aid for us in order to grow and to evolve, and not as obstacle for our growth, not obstacle to love everybody. Because the real religion, actually, every religion, they call everybody to open your heart, open your soul, and just you can mimic God, and God love everybody. And the more you mimic God, the more you are approaching God. And God does not distinguish between color and religion and ethnic groups. Love everybody unconditionally.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I first of all, I completely agree. And part of the mission and the purpose of, all of my work that I do every day, endlessly and tirelessly, is about unifying the world. And that doesn't mean that we let go of our individual things that make us unique. There's the Muslim, there's the Jew, there's the Christian, there's the Buddhist, there's everybody with their own ways of life. But ultimately, to be able to respect each other's differences and celebrate each other's differences, I believe that's a big reason of why we're here.
Yes, the same question, why there are a lot of nations. Why God did not create one nation for all the globus? And I can compare this to our physical body. And you ask, why God created the liver as a shape and function, and the heart another one, and the lung another. Each one is functioning in order to serve the other and to complete the other. Once we have all these parts together functioning in balance and harmony and coherence, all the body will be healthy. And this is the same thing, the question between the nation, but the animal soul sometimes is dominant, and the animal soul is instinctive and it's egoistic, wants to preserve itself, wants to survive. So it's able to do anything, even to make damage for the other in order to survive. And this is our problem. We came to this life in order to solve and resolve the egoistic part that we have. And the more I'm in giving and loving, the more I'm growing and evolving, and the more I'm free from to be dependent of something or somebody, because I started to be the source of light and the source of love for the others. I don't need anything from others. Let me love, let me give you, let me serve you, and I will be the one that is happy, and the happiness is related to the love. And many people, they confuse happiness with pleasure. They are not the same thing. Pleasure is what you are taking for yourself, and happiness is what you are giving for others. Beautiful. When you do something with love, you are happy. You don't need even the feedback of the person, because during this giving and loving, you are happy. And when you are happy, you are free. And each one of us want to be happy and free, nothing else.
Beautiful. Dr. Butto, do you have any tips or tricks that any of us watching, including myself, can use at home on daily basis with certain points to press when we're experiencing certain experiences or emotions throughout the day to help release? I know I would love for everybody and anybody that's watching this to go and actually visit you in Israel and experience what you have to offer. And I know you have a very, very long line right now of people that are interested in doing that. So you're teaching a lot of other people that approach so they can bring that around the world as well. But for individuals who can't, experience that right now, any tips and tricks that we can do when we're experiencing a short-term state of depression or anxiety or frustration or worry to help release that immediately?
Yes. First of all, actually, I'm doing this with my patients. The first question that I ask, why you came to this life? This is the first question. And once you understand that we came here to make a workshop, to learn, to grow, and to evolve. And in this process, it's like university or school. You have examination, you have difficulties, you have obstacles and problems. These are stimuli, these are triggers that come to change you, because we have this tendency to be stable, don't change things. So we change when we are in difficulty. So the first thing is, when you have difficulty, problem, or some obstacle, the first thing, accept it. Because when you accept it, you have the possibility to resolve it and to learn from it. If you reject it, you stop the process of learning.
Yes.
And God is generous. If you did not understand from this process, it will give you again the possibility with the same problem that repeating again and again till the point that you will learn. So if you know this, first of all, accept. Then ask the question, what it comes to tell me and to teach me. And you can make a kind of list, all the things, and this is the tip that you can use it. I want to know what is my path. Okay, I want to know what is my destiny, because this is a question, the basic question in our life that most of the people, they don't know. And for this reason, they go, lost in this life. So the first thing is determine what are the things that make you happy. All the things that make you happy are a part of your path. And all the things that make you suffer are the part of your path. All the things that make you happy, because it comes to tell you, go ahead, this is the right way. Okay? But you have to distinguish between pleasure and happiness. Many people, they make this confusion. All the things that makes you suffer, you ask yourself what you expected for yourself. Because there you were disappointed because you didn't receive what you expected for yourself. So all the things that you expected for yourself, these are the things that you should learn to give for others. It's more important to suffer than to be happy. Because when I am happy, I don't make changes. Because already I learned the lesson. I passed the examination. But here, I'm suffering and asking the question, why I'm suffering? What changes I have to do? So you understand that actually behind the suffering, you have expectation and you have the disappointment. So what you expected for yourself, this is exactly the thing that you should learn. And I give you an example. She comes and says, my mother does not love me. I said, why you choose to born in this family? She said, no, I didn't choose. They brought me to this life. I said, no, this is the necessity of your soul. You choose some place where you have this difficulty in order to convert your mother as your daughter and to love her as your daughter without condition, because she didn't receive love from her mother. And this is a reason why you needed this situation for your service. It was not against you. It comes to help you to open your heart and to evolve through your mother. And your mother is your instrument, your tool in order to make this lesson and to pass this examination. Wow, it said, wow, it's a good idea. Wow. They opened their eyes.
It changes the whole perspective. What you're speaking about is something that I share a lot from a Hebrew perspective in terms of the word. In Hebrew, they call it tikkun. It's like the thing that you came here to, rectify and work on that looks like it's here to hurt you, but it's really your greatest opportunity to grow in something that you chose.
That's right. Exactly. This is like only one example. And actually, if you have the list, all the things that makes you suffer, these things you can deal with, and you discover what you expected yourself, and you have the path, you have the way, what you should do with others in order to feel that you are going in the right path. Then you started to be happy and free.
I have one specific question for you here, and I'm actually asking this question on behalf of people that I know. I want to ask the question to see your perspective. And I know that they're going to be watching this, so maybe it can help them. Let's say that you're in a situation where you lose a child. Your son, your daughter passes away, not at a young age, and 25, 30 years old. How would you take a situation like that if the person came to you and said, why is this happening? How would you shift the perspective?
She lost her son or her daughter?
Her daughter.
Yes. Actually, I lived this at home with my mother because I was a child and I lost first a sister. She was 3 years old. And my mother became very depressive and very sad, and everything that she hear or something remind her of her started to cry. After 3 years, she lost another child. And she woke up and said, wow, God gave me this child, and God took this child. This child is not mine, And she changed completely. And she started to be a very faithful woman. She has this faith in God and became a happy woman. So she changed the perspective from negative thing to positive thing, understood the lesson, and she saved to lose the third child, which was me. It was my turn, because I was the third. So in this way, I remained alive, in this life and continue my path, thanks to the fact that my mother changed the way how to see the things, because we are living in illusion that things are ours. Mm-hmm. And when we die, we come to the conclusion that nothing is mine. Even my children are not mine, because I wouldn't take them with me when I die. Say, no, you remain, I go.
Wow.
And in that point, we will come to this conclusion. I said, well, why I have to wait till the death in order to make to this conclusion? I can make this conclusion right now in my life. So I'm not living in this illusion that we are permanent, and not only the human soul is permanent. The animal soul and the physical body, they are mortal.
Because they change, they transform.
Yes.
So what you're saying with the example that you gave of your own mother is she was given a test, and like you said, God is generous. So that test will continue repeating itself until you choose to see the lesson that test was trying to teach you. So is it fair to say that a shift of perspective, no matter the situation, is instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Asking yourself the question, why am I choosing this?
Why? And what it comes to help me to change and to be a better person, more loving, more open, and more happy. And these are the signs that we should use, the suffer, the happiness. These are signs for us that we should use it in order to say, I'm in the right path or not. And if I'm not in the right path, what I should do in order to take the right path. And I have all the signs in the world that God gives me all the signs. When I do not understand, it becomes a physical sign. I start to suffer from pains in my shoulder, in my head, in my back. And if I do not understand, it becomes a disease, a physical disease, organic disease. So I have all the time in the world in order to understand the language of God, in order to make changes. And God, because He is generous, every time He gives you the sign more heavy, more big,
To let you know because you're not waking up.
More evident what you are waiting for.
100%. You know, that happened to me with, it started with my shoulder dislocating. That happened about 23 times. I got 3 shoulder surgeries, all on the left side of my body, by the way. And then it continued into a staph infection in my leg. I almost lost my leg. I almost lost my life. And the point is that the injuries got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and louder until I said, why did I choose this? At first, for 4 years, I said, why is this happening to me? And then I said, wait a second, what's the lesson here? What's the lesson? If I understand the lesson, I can pass the test. And if I can pass the test, it doesn't need to repeat again. And if I don't pass the test, it's only going to get louder. And if it gets louder past the staph infection, I'm going to die. So that was like what I had to go through in order to understand what you're saying in my own experience.
And this is the awareness, to be aware, to ask the right questions. And our mission is just to expand this awareness in order to ask the right questions, because we have all the answers. All the answers, they are here. You don't need to go to India or to Brazil or to have the ayahuasca or a mushroom. You know, everything, you have it here. You ask the right question and you have the right answer.
Absolutely. I love the work that you're doing with integrating all. Again, usually the person that's in their field sticks to only their field and thinks that that's the only thing going on. And you're a perfect example of, the other day I was interviewing somebody and he brought up the word a polymath. And a polymath, to define that, is pretty much knowing a lot about a lot. You know, so you're not just a cardiologist. You're not just a specialist in the heart. You've been able to integrate all these different disciplines and categories of work into this unified perspective. And I really do believe that that's why you're so successful with the work that you're doing. Because
I think that, yes, I think that we are ready to change the paradigm, because it's not, you know, in this period, you have this openness that everybody is started to ask this question and accept the answers that are different.
Yeah.
And this is, we are, you know, on the point to change, and in the point to start the process to changing the paradigm and to introduce the integration between body, psyche, and soul together, because this is our reality. Mm-hmm. We cannot continue to neglect this, because the real reality is there, not in my physical body, which is the expression of the information and energy of my soul. I am like this because I have the information in my soul that guides the structure and the function, the structure of the body and the function of the psyche. And this is the reason why I created a method which is called human code. You look to the face and I give you a code. Once you know your code, you know your character, you know your tendencies, you know your temperament, your needs and your crisis and your diseases. And everything is written. Nothing is happening by chance. Everything is mathematical, very precise. So for me today, it's not enough to fix the energy. There are a lot of disciplines that fix the energy, like acupuncture, reflexology, or other methods, or electromagnetic field therapy, because we want to arrive to the source, the psychological conflict, and to complete the learning process. If I do not do this, something will be missing and the problem will repeat again and again. Mm. So you can understand, without achieving the spiritual part, and the spiritual part is the learning process of the soul, there we want to arrive.
I love it. I love it. And I love how you took all the parts to be able to come up with that again, unified, integrative approach to medicine and healing in that way. So Number one, I do want to share your website with everybody because I want everybody that doesn't know who Dr. Butto is yet to learn about this man, because he's bringing a lot of interesting things to the table. So I'm actually on the article section, but if you go to Naader Butto, spelled up here, NADERBUTTO.com, you can learn more about everything that's been spoken about here. And if you want to learn about those articles and actually see those peer-reviewed articles and read them, down here you have articles in psychology, and over here you have articles in physics. So I encourage everybody to read this in depth, especially if this is something that you'd like to learn more about, and maybe look into becoming a therapist and understanding how to use this approach, because Dr. Butto is only one person. And one day he won't be here as Dr. Butto anymore. So we need as many people to learn and eventually to even evolve and create above it, because today this is a foundation. Tomorrow it will evolve, and the goal is to be able to get as many people aware of this as possible, so whatever Dr. Butto created can now be expanded on, become better and better and better in the generations to come. That's the goal of why we're all doing this and this work in the first place. So if you are watching this and you are interested in learning more about this, again, go to his website. There is a link in the description below, NaaderButto.com. Learn more about all of this. And again, if you really want to take this to the next level, look into becoming a therapist and bringing this to your part of the world so we can have as many people with this knowledge as possible and bring this to the world as a whole. So Dr. Butto, I want to say thank you to you and your work. I have two requests. Number one, when I come to Israel, I would love to meet you in person and really, sit down.
With pleasure, yes.
That would be unbelievable. And number two, I know we spoke about this before the interview, but I'd love to send you more information about this technology right here, the energy enhancement system technology. I want to see your thoughts about it. And maybe it could even be something we can bring to your clinic to add on top of what you're already doing.
Thank you very much for this occasion. This is my pleasure to be with you. And I appreciate very much your work and your mission to expand light and knowledge for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I look forward to meeting you in person someday soon.
With pleasure. Thank you very much.